Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive for Team Me practitioners.
It's great to be back.
Now, you know the Team Me archetypes pretty well by now.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Right. And today, we're diving into how you can actually use them, specifically the warrior, to help your clients grow.
Yeah. It's one thing to understand the archetypes, but how do we bring them to life? How can we practically apply this knowledge to empower the people we work with?
Exactly. It's all very well us knowing the theory.
Yeah.
We want to give our listeners something they can really use, right?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of us can relate to wanting our clients to have a bit more of that warrior spirit, that ability to really go after what they want.
Definitely. So many of my clients, they struggle with things like setting boundaries or speaking up for themselves.
Exactly. And that's what's so interesting about this archetype. It's that direct connection to action, to assertiveness, to overcoming challenges head on. And the exciting part is that this energy, this warrior energy, it's within all of us.
Okay, so it's there, but how do we actually tap into it? We've talked before about embodying an archetype and how it's not about becoming someone else entirely, but more about accessing a specific energy.
Yeah.
So how would you describe like the core of the warrior energy?
At its heart, the warrior is driven by a mission, a sense of purpose. And it's not about aggression, as some might think.
Right, it's not about picking fights.
Exactly. It's about focused determination, courage, the willingness to push through obstacles and achieve a goal, like that client who's always dreamed of starting their own business, but fear holds them back. The warrior energy is what helps them take those first steps, even when it feels scary.
So how do we as practitioners, how do we help our clients actually tap into that warrior energy? I keep thinking back to our MLP framework. We've covered it before, but could you just give us a quick refresher, specifically in the context of the warrior? Mental focus, language, and posture.
Of course. So mental focus for the warrior is about unwavering dedication to the mission. It's about pushing through discomfort, maintaining that laser focus even when distractions pop up. Think of a client preparing for a difficult conversation. Their mental focus, as the warrior, would be on communicating their needs clearly, respectfully, but standing firm in their truth.
It's like putting on those mental blinkers.
Yes, exactly. Now, language. A warrior's language is direct, action-oriented, assertive. They use phrases like, I will, I am capable. Instead of, I hope this works out, it's, I will make this happen. Just that small shift in language.
That's powerful.
It can make a huge difference. Finally, posture. The way we hold ourselves physically actually influences our energy, our emotions. The warrior stands tall and grounded, like a mountain unshakable. Movements are purposeful. It could be the steady rhythm of a march, or even the focused intensity of a prowl.
You know what that reminds me of? I have this client, terrified of public speaking, and you could see it in their posture, hunched over, avoiding eye contact, just radiating anxiety.
We've all been there.
So we did this exercise, right?
Yeah.
I had them imagine they were a warrior about to lead their troops into battle. Shoulders back, chin lifted, picturing a shield protecting them.
What happened?
It was incredible. Their whole energy shifted. They went from feeling small and afraid to this powerful, in-control presence, just from changing your posture.
It's remarkable how our physical body can influence our emotional state.
Yeah. It's like sending a signal to your brain saying, we've got this,
Exactly. It's like we are ready for anything.
just by shifting our physicality.
Exactly. And that can be a really useful tool to teach clients too, right?
Absolutely. So we've talked about mental focus, language, and posture, these MLP elements. How can our listeners actually use these to create practical exercises for their clients?
One technique I find really effective is visualization. Have your clients close their eyes and actually picture themselves as this fearless warrior, standing tall, strong, proud. Feel the weight of the armor, the strength in their stance. It can be really powerful, especially for clients who connect with sensory experiences.
I love that, like giving them permission to step into this different version of themselves, even if it's just in their mind at first.
Yeah.
And speaking of stepping into a different version, what about role-playing? Could that be a good fit for working with the warrior archetype?
Absolutely. Role-playing can be incredibly powerful. You can set up scenarios where the client has to assert themselves, maybe set a boundary they've been struggling with, or face a fear head-on. And as they're going through it, encourage them to really embody the warrior. That mental focus, the language, the posture, bring it all together.
Yes, exactly. And the more they practice, the easier it becomes to tap into that warrior energy in real-life situations.
It becomes more natural, more instinctive.
Okay. We've talked a lot about the positive side of the warrior. But like all archetypes, there's a shadow side too, right? Are there any pitfalls we should be aware of when we're working with clients and the warrior?
Oh, absolutely. It's important to be mindful of that. The shadow side of the warrior can show up as aggression, dominance, even a need to control everything and everyone.
It's not about overpowering others.
Exactly. It's about using that strength in service of a higher purpose.
So it's about channeling that energy constructively. How can we guide our clients to do that?
One way is to emphasize compassion and empathy. Even when you're standing firm in your truth, the warrior isn't about winning at all costs. It's about fighting for what's right with integrity and respect.
It's like that saying, choose your battles wisely.
Yes, a true warrior knows when to engage and when to walk away.
And sometimes walking away is the braver choice.
Sometimes it is. Disengaging from a battle that no longer serves you, that takes real strength.
Okay, this has been so helpful. Our listeners are getting some seriously valuable tools here. One thing I see all the time is clients who struggle with setting boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
With family, with friends at work, you name it.
It's so common, right?
It is.
And the warrior can be such a powerful ally in those situations, you know?
Totally.
Imagine that client who's always saying yes.
Oh, I know that client.
Right. They're overextending themselves. So how do we guide them to tap into that warrior energy to create those healthy boundaries?
Well, how do we do that?
It starts with helping them recognize their own worth. Understanding that saying no sometimes to others is actually a way of saying yes to themselves. It's about protecting their energy. Their mental focus could be on that self-care, recognizing that their needs, their well-being, those are important too.
Right. It's not selfish to have needs.
Exactly. And then language-wise, encourage them to practice phrases like, I need to check my schedule before committing to that, or that doesn't work for me right now. Simple but powerful.
It is. Just having those phrases ready to go can make a big difference. And what about posture? What role does that play in setting boundaries?
Oh, it's huge. Often when people are uncomfortable setting boundaries, their posture reflects that. They might hunch over, avoid eye contact, almost like they're trying to make themselves smaller, less noticeable.
It's like they're trying to disappear.
Exactly. So instead, encourage them to practice standing tall, shoulders back, making eye contact, using a firm but respectful tone of voice.
It's amazing how much difference those little things can make.
It's true. And it's important to remember that embodying the warrior in these situations doesn't mean becoming aggressive or confrontational.
Right. It's not about attacking.
No, not at all. It's about setting those clear boundaries, but with compassion, with respect for both themselves and the other person.
It's about that balance, isn't it?
Exactly.
Strength and empathy.
Yes.
I think that's so important for people to hear because there's often this misconception that being a warrior means you have to be tough and unfeeling.
Right, like you have to leave your heart out of it.
Yeah, but it's really the opposite, isn't it?
It is. It's about accessing your inner strength so you can show up authentically and live in alignment with your values.
That's a great way to put it. So to wrap up our deep dive into the warrior archetype, what's one key takeaway you hope our listeners will carry with them as they work with their clients?
I think the most important thing is to remember that this warrior energy, it's not something we have to create out of thin air.
It's already there.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
within all of us. It's about tapping into that wellspring of courage and determination that we all have inside.
It's about awakening the warrior within. That's a perfect note to end on. So for all our practitioners listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the warrior archetype. Remember to help your clients find that inner strength, guide them as they step into their power. And until next time, keep exploring the incredible world of the Team Me archetypes.